It's Wednesday, May the 1st. Lake level's just under 918. It's like 917.88. I just looked at it, and it looks like in the last hour it has crested. The water level in the James River up at Galena is coming down. So depends on what happens with the rain we've got coming the next few days. They've got all the floodgates open a little bit, and they've been moving like 15,000 cubic feet a second. So there's a lot of water moving, especially if you're up in the river arms. And there's a lot of trash out in the lake. When that water comes up like that, it come up 3 foot in 4 or 5 days. It picks up a lot of them logs and debris that's been up on the bank and goes out there floating. Now up in the river, I've been up in the James a few days. I haven't been up in Long Creek or the Kings, but I'm sure it's the same way up in those arms. The water actually is brown in places. And there's log jams where a lot of places you got to idle through them to get by them. Once the wind picks up a little bit, it seems like it's pushing a lot of that debris up to where you get an open lane that you can run. But even down in the, like from Ants Creek on down towards the dam, I was down at the dam area today, and even down there where the water's still good and clear, there's still a lot of debris out floating around. So you need to keep an eye out for that, need to be careful. But as far as the water temp, it's been starting out about 63, 64 degrees, and you'll find as high as 70 degrees, especially up in that dirty water. So I'll kind of get into the dirty water first. Like I say, I've had some really good days up to James, and I've had a few tough days up there. But don't let that dirty brown water scare you. If you're out fishing in the main river, like Cape Fear area or above, there's a lot of current. And the fish I'm catching are just inside the pockets, some of them about halfway back in the creeks, and there's some on the main river just outside the current. But what I've been throwing mainly up there is just two things. I've been throwing a spinnerbait, and we've been flipping. Now in that real brown, nasty looking water, I'm throwing it's a 1/2 ounce War Eagle, a twin collar. It's a little Colorado and then an Indiana blade. It's got the little orange kicker blade, chartreuse and white skirt. But I'm throwing it around the bushes. The bushes got plenty of water right now. The lake level's perfect for flipping. And the other thing, another good spinnerbait we throw when the water's this color is a coleslaw. This is you can throw a 3/8 or 1/2 ounce War Eagle. I like to throw one with white blades. And if the water gets a little cleaner, I'll go more to like a table rock shad color. And even up in the river arms, if you get back into creeks, the water's got nice green color. The only place it's real nasty looking is out on the main river. Now once they shut them floodgates down and slow the water down, depends on how much they dump out of beaver, that mud will start to back up into the creeks. But as long as they're generating or got the gates open, dumping a bunch of water, that nasty water will stay out on the main river. But there's fish out there with it too, just out on the edges of the current. Another bait I'm throwing up there, I'm flipping quite a bit. We're mixing it up between the spinnerbait and flipping. Like I said, yesterday we kind of struggled up there flipping. Now, I was up there Sunday and had a really good day. But I've been flipping creature baits. This is a Missiles bait D-bomb, 5/16 ounce weight with a bobber stopper. And I like, a bait like this, or it's a Strike King Rage Craw. I like a creature style bait. Now you can take and flip a jig in there as well. I find with a Texas rig creature bait, I get it through the bushes and stuff a lot better. And one day, I was up there Sunday, they were biting it so good by the time, they'd knock slack in your line when they hit it, and then they'd be 2 or 3 feet out of the bush by the time you set the hook. Yesterday, you had to sit there and just shake the bait, work it up and down in the bush. And also, if there's some isolated trees up there, what you want to try to do is get to the biggest part of what you're flipping. If there's a bush in there, go to the center of the bush. If there's a lay down or a tree, try to get to the base of that tree. In some areas, there's a lot of that sawdust. The trash where it's all blown up, you can't even hardly get in there. Pick up a frog. I'm throwing a spro popping frog, and I usually throw 2 or 3 colors. I'll throw a white, a black, or a brown, and work this over the top of all that nasty stuff that you can't hardly get any other bait through. You won't get a lot of bites, but when you do, it's fun. You know, they'll blow up out of that mat and that sawdust. And, you know, a little further in the mid-river, I'm also starting to get a football jig bite on some of the main river and secondary points. Some of the fish that are done spawning are starting to get out there a little deeper and feed. Now, I haven't thrown, you know, much up in the dirty water as far as swim baits. I've been doing that a lot more down lake. Now, down lake in the clearer water, the color in the water about the mouth of the James River is where it starts to get dirty. The further up you go, the worse it gets. Baxter and Campbell Point, the water's still pretty clear, but from the Kings River down to about Campbell, that color is coming down. It moves quite a bit each day with as much water as they're dumping out of the lake. From Kings River up, is the upper white is pretty clean. And in the clear water, I've got a pretty good smallmouth bite going, but it seems to be over, excuse me, fairly early in the morning. But the bait seems to be working best for me is a tube. I'm throwing a lot of different tubes, but I'm throwing a big bite, a zoom. Seems like about a 3.5-inch tube with a 1/4 ounce head stuffed up inside of it. Throwing it on fairly light line, 12-pound braid with a 8 or 10-pound Sun Sniper leader on it. But you can kind of mix it up between the tube, a little peewee jig, a little 5/16 ounce peewee jig, or Ned rigs as well. And where I'm catching a lot of these fish is outside the spawning areas, about 12 to anywhere from 8 to about 15 feet deep on the bottom. And if I start to see some fish up suspended, we've been catching a few on swim baits as well. And I'm throwing the swim baits usually on a 3/16 1/4 ounce head. And the color of the swim bait kind of depends on the color of the water. If you get in some of that dirtier water, I think I got one here somewhere. Yeah, I would throw an all white, and I'm throwing anywhere between a 2.8 and a 3.8 swim bait, just mixing the sizes up. Water's nice and clear, I'll throw something a little bit more natural. Got a little stain, I'll throw this chartreuse blue or the white. And basically those fish, you know, I'm kind of live scoping. If I see them out there, figure out how far down they are, let the bait drop and just reel it in real slow. Another thing that's getting ready to happen, usually when that water gets around 70 degrees, you'll start to have a shad spawn. And I've seen a few signs of that the last few mornings. And if you got a boat dock on the lake and you're down at your boat dock, if you've ever noticed the shad, they go crazy inside the stalls. What they're doing is they're laying their eggs on the styrofoam. And they usually do that for a few hours each morning. They'll do it around bushes, lay downs, trees that are sticking up out of the water, any hard object. They'll even lay eggs on the back of your engine and the back of your boat while you're fishing. But that is just starting to happen. And I'm starting to get a little better topwater bite off the corner of some of the docks where them fish are just suspending underneath them. So there's a lot of things that are working. There's still a lot of fish up there cruising. I've seen a lot of new beds today. I was down at the lower end where the water's real clear. With the water coming up, you know, like I say, there's still fish coming in to spawn. I think that's going to continue for a couple more weeks. But there are more fish that are getting done spawning. A lot of the smallmouth I'm catching, I think those are post-spawn fish. They're moving out there and, you know, feeding a little bit more. And, you know, you can also catch them on a football jig out there, a wobblehead or Carolina rig. It's just whatever you got confidence in. The tube has been working pretty good for us, so that's what we've been kind of staying with. But, you know, if we get some more rain, the lake's probably going to come up some more. But regardless, the debris is going to be here for a while. So if you're out there, especially this weekend, it's a high school tournament. Parents, keep an eye out for them floaters. allow yourself more time to get from one place to another, because you can't run hard. A lot of this stuff, some of the bigger trees, you can't hardly see them. They're just under the surface. So you don't want to do any damage, to your equipment or to anybody in the boat. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.